Hi everyone, welcome to SJ's classes. This would be the last video lesson that I post with respect to the paper 20th Century Malayalam Literature in English Translation. So far I have interpreted 10 poems, read 10 short stories and analyzed 2 novels. It's a discussion of the play Kanchana Sita by Sreekantan Nair that I have for you today. Before we commence the session, let me thank all of you who have acknowledged and appreciate the hard work I invest to make these video lessons. These videos are resultant products of a Herculean procedure that I follow, and I'm happy that at least some of you have recognized it. Let's begin today's session with an introduction to the playwright. C.N. Sreekantan Nair was an Indian independence activist, a Malayalam writer, short story writer, playwright, and screenwriter who was best known for his Ramayana trilogy, which began with Kanchana Sita in 1961 and then came Sagedam and Langa Lakshmi in 1974. He was born on March 31st, 1928 at Chavara in Kadunagapalli Taluk of Kollam district. He has written around 10 plays, 4 short story anthologies, and also some books of non-fiction and collected works. His first major play was Nashtakachavadam, which was a short story in the beginning but was later rewritten as a play in 1957. Then he wrote Kali, which is perhaps known as the first surrealist play in Malayalam literature, and he wrote that in 1967. Kanchana Sita is the first play in Sreekantan Nair's trilogy based on the Ramayana. The play is the reinterpretation of the Uttara-Kanda, the seventh and last book of Ramayana. And the Ramayana, as you know, is an epic which has been endearing across generations. And this fascination, which is attached to this particular epic, has entailed, reading, rereading, and reinterpretation of this particular work and the various events and characters in the work from various perspectives and points of views. Sreekantan Nair's Kanchana Sita is one such rereading of the Ramayana that offers a unique reinterpretation of the epic characters while highlighting their socio-political and psychological conflicts from a modern perspective. This was originally written in Malayalam and it was later on translated into English by Vasanthi Shankaranarayanan. This play captures one of the most intense and dramatic moments of the Ramayana story. It questions Rama's dharma from diverse yet converging points of view. The play is about the tragedy of power and the sacrifices that adherence to dharma demands, including abandoning a chaste wife. The play also questions the discrimination of gender and the evil aspect of caste system. So these are the various realms on which this particular play operates. This deals with one of the most dramatic moments in Ramayana story. It's a question on Rama's dharma. It's also about the tragedy that power might bring into your life, and also the sacrifices that you will have to make so as to stick on to or adhere to dharma. And the play also questions the discrimination based on gender as well as the evil aspects of caste system. Perhaps it's for all these that this particular play was honored with Kendra Sahitya Academy Award in the year 1962. And some of you might know that this play was adapted into a film by G. Aravindan in 1977. G. Aravindan is an Indian film director, screenwriter, musician, cartoonist, and painter. The film, when we read history, we understand that the film went on to be a great critical success and is perhaps regarded as one of the best Indian films ever made. The film also fetched the National Film Award for the Best Direction for G. Aravindan. This play has 4 acts. The play begins with a conversation between Urmila and Kausalya. Urmila is Lakshmanan's wife and Kausalya is Sri Raman's mother. We have a discussion on Rama's dharma on abandoning his chaste wife between Urmila and Kausalya, and then we read that both Rama and Lakshmana return to Ayodhya. They confront Urmila, and Urmila raises questions as to Rama's deed of abandoning his chaste wife. Rama replies to her reproaches for abandoning Sita in the Dandakaranya forest, where they spend their exile. And Urmila states that the husband of Sita is only a servant of the people of Ayodhya. The play, in this regard, considerably deviates from the Ramayana, which gives little significance to Urmila. So, this is where the C.N. Sreekantan Nair's play deviates a bit from Ramayana story. In Ramayana, Urmila does not find an expression. She does not. She hasn't been given enough space to express her concern, but Sreekantan Nair has given that space. Then we read that in the palace, sages like Ashtavakra suggest Rama the observance of a horse sacrifice known as Ashwamedha for asserting sovereign power and to absolve the sins. Sage Vashishta, the priest of the clan, suggests a remarriage for Rama since the rites will not be complete without the wife of the performer in the sacrifice. The first act of the play etches the psychic dilemma into which Rama is caught up. 12 years after denunciation of his wife, the sages identify the horse sacrifice Ashwamedham as his next objective. This marks the beginning of the dramatic conflict. Rama is rived apart by two potent forces. You have the sages on the one side who state that he has to commit this Ashwamedham to absolve all the sins and to have to have the ultimate power, and you have Urmila and Kausalya on the other side who in a way protest against Rama's decisions. They represent Rama's own inner selves, Rama as a king of Ayodhya and Rama as an individual. Since he is incapable of rejecting either, efforts to balance them ensue. So that is what you find in Act 1. The second act is set in the royal court. Urmila appears again with justifications for Rama's reluctance for another marriage, while the sage Vashishta plays the role of the defender of the majesty of Arya dynasty. Kausalya also comes forward with her own views against the remarriage. So both Urmila and Kausalya are against the remarriage idea which is put forth by the sages. It seems that only Lakshmana realizes the heart-rending conflict in Rama and empathizes with him. So Rama wants to fulfill the royal dharma as well as he is confused about his status as a husband of Sita. He loves Sita. He abandons Sita on a particular misjudgments, but he really loves her. So he doesn't know what actually need to be done. The conflict intensifies on the story with the in the story with the entry of Bharata, a brother of Rama who had left Ayodhya 12 years ago. He objects to Rama performing the yaga without Sita. So we have yet another character who reproaches or who is against Rama's decision to remarry. Their argument culminates almost in a physical fight, which Kausalya, the queen mother, averts by her intervention. So Rama, with the advice of the sages, he decides to marry the daughter of king of Kashi, and this particular decision is argued against by Urmila, Kausalya, and Bharata, and both Rama and Bharata would have ended up in a physical fight if it wasn't for the interruption made by Queen Mother Kausalya. The third act is placed in the forest beside Valmiki's hermitage. The opening scene in of Act 3 juxtaposes Rama's sons Lava and Kusha for a comparison of their character. So the third act begins with Lava and Kusha. Lava is valiant, and Kusha is a calm and composed character. The sacrificial horse strays into Valmiki's hermitage, where Lava stops the horse. Here, the play takes a pivotal turn when Lakshmana finds the boys and recognizes them as the successors of Rama. So those of you who have read Ramayana know that by the blessing of Valmiki, Sita has two sons. It's Lava and Kusha. It's about both these characters that we are discussing right now. Mixed feelings stifle Lakshmana as Lava is ready to fight him, but Valmiki intervenes and orders that the horse be released. Strongly moved by what he sees, Valmiki decides to meet Rama in his palace and in ecstasy begins to compose the Uttara Ramacharita, the story of Rama. Then we move on to Act 4. Act 4 proves that the conflicts are not yet over. The horse which strayed away is led back to Ayodhya, and the ritualistic second stage of the Ashwamedha starts. Just then Rama receives the news that Shambhuga has resumed his penance. Shambhuga is a Shudra, and Shudras were not allowed to commit penance. Rama had earlier forgiven this particular character. He had given him an ultimatum that if he continued his penance, then he will kill him. And as of now, Rama received the news that Shambhuga has resumed his penance. And Rama sends Lakshmana to slay the erring Shudra. Shambhuga's wife later on storms into the sanctified chamber to hurl curses and sprints out. And as the ceremony nears completion, the recital of Rama's story reaches his ears. The sheer glee of fate in turning down the success story of the Arya dynasty turns paradoxically into a tragedy of Rama. Kausalya, Urmila, and even Vashishta they turn pale at this. Hanuman enters chanting Jai Sita Rama at this point, and the dialogue between Rama and Hanuman that ensues is perhaps the most emotionally intense situation in the play. Rama later on recognizes Lava and Kusha as his sons and takes them to his heart, but insists with extreme pangs Sita to vouch once again for Ayodhya that she is pure. So Rama wants Sita to pure her chastity once again. Unable to withstand this heartrending insult, this time before her children, Sita pleads Mother Earth to crack open and protect the women's pride, which happens with a frightening turbulence and shocking everyone. And finally, the play ends with Valmiki's proclamation that Sita does not perish as she is nature herself. So that is where the play comes to an end. The title of the play, which is Kanchana Sita or Golden Sita, he refers to the golden image of Sita that Rama sets by his side while he performs the Ashwamedha Yaga. The Yaga, which is observed to assert absolute imperial power, requires that the king who performs it be accompanied by his wife. That's exactly why he keeps a golden statue of or golden image of Sita by his side. Since Rama had abandoned Sita 12 years earlier, the family preceptor or Kulaguru Vashishta advises that he place a golden image of Sita at his side. So that is what the title alludes to. I hope you have an understanding of the play now. I know that I haven't elaborated the plot much, but still you might have got an idea regarding the play. Thank you so much, everyone who have been spending time with me. I hope all these video lessons have been of great help to you during the lockdown days, as well as now as you are about to confront your examination. Thank you so much. If you haven't yet subscribed to my channel, please do it so that you will get video lessons on various topics that you have to study in the future semesters. Thank you so much.